Ciao Juventini of the world, my name is Giuseppe, welcome back on the channel. I hope you are all doing well. Today a special video, we'll see how long it will last, maybe 30 minutes with a really beautiful talk about Juventus and the moment we are living in. Today I really want to speak, and I will not speak actually, I will listen to another way of observing Juventus from a Juventus fan, and that's super important. But how is Juventus doing at the moment, being fourth? We know it and we talk about it that Juventus did, yes, good things, of course, but also a lot of mistakes. And how could we have avoided doing these mistakes? What we had to do better this season to avoid being fourth, instead being first, maybe, and especially for next season. This is what the video will be talk about today. And I have an immense pleasure to invite for the first time on the channel Antonio. Antonio, just before him presenting himself, I observed him on Twitter. Twitter is, we know it, the social media where you have to be if you want to know also the diverse opinions of fans from all over the world. I met Antonio through Twitter with a lot of opinions, not only about Juventus, but especially about European football. His takes about a lot of things that we had to do better this season, but also some love that we share on Gabriel Jesus, on Zakaria. And that's how I met Antonio. And I said, Antonio, it would be really nice to have a video together where you will explain your point of view instead of me. Ciao Antonio e benvenuto.
Hi to everyone on YouTube. Hi GJust. It's a pleasure to be on the channel. So I present myself, right?
Yeah, of course.
I'm Antonio. For those who know me, I tend to do lives on Twitch on the Live Bianconera platform, which is completely in Italian. So sorry for the English fellows, but we do Italian streaming on Twitch about Juventus also, and we tend to be overly critic sometimes, but also because we love Juventus and we want the best for our team. And of course, on Twitter, I don't only speak about Juventus, I also speak about European clubs as usual, and also talented players, since I also have a project on underrated scout with Italian fellows, but that's completely in English, so this you can check for no difficulties, and you can find so many players that maybe are slept on, and maybe we can see Juventus, who knows?
Hey, look at that, Antonio. I'm super happy to have you on because it's a total different perspective. Super thrilled and curious about your takes. The first question I want to ask you, Antonio, without waiting too long, is okay. Juventus now with 4 games to go in Serie A. We know that there is also the Coppa Italia final versus Inter. Let that put aside. We will come back on that one later. 4 games to go in Serie A. We are nearly mathematically sure to finish in top 4. My question is, what's your point of this season? Not going into detail, but generally your take on this season, on that nearly sure top 4 of Juve.
Yes, also this season is highly influenced by the economical impact that we receive from the past years. So we have to see at Juventus that could only implement Locatelli in this system and just Moise to fill the spot of Ronaldo. So Juventus that could not do economical operations since January. So the formation we were presented on September was really intriguing to see play. Not everyone could imagine what we will be doing in April, near May. So I was a bit deluded since we could not win a single match against the actual top 4, because we just have to say that we won against Roma, we won against Lazio. Those teams seem to be finding some gaps for the top 4, but Atalanta, Napoli, Inter, Milan did not prove to be teams that could win the championship easily. They were brought with the possibility to win, and that's my main problem with this season for Juve, that we could really do more.
I kind of agree in a way, because of course when you see that nobody wants to win anything this year, it's not only the Scudetto, because it's the Scudetto they don't want to win it, but also the top four. Every single team, they are saying no, I don't want to win it, I don't want to win it, and at the end, Juventus is between that, fighting for the top four, but also at a certain moment, people were also thinking maybe we can also fight for the Scudetto, not saying win it, but at least fighting, with that turning point of Juve Inter. That was really, really a crazy match, because if you win that game, I'm not saying you win the Scudetto, but you are there. And we are not, in a really strange season. Let's go back a bit in time, Antonio.
Yes.
Pirlo goes away from Juventus. Allegri comes back with a beautiful tweet of Juve, Minnesota, everything. A lot of people were super happy. Then you had a lot also of people that were not happy at all of having Allegri back, because they remember the last two seasons of Allegri that were, yes, winning seasons, because we can't complain about the results. But on the other side, it was not an attractive, beautiful football in terms of games. And what we are seeing today is that Juventus this season will not win the Scudetto, maybe the Coppa Italia, and that's one trophy, but we are not even sure at the moment, but didn't offer a beautiful football. What were your expectations of the season? Because you already talked about it, that it was a really big question mark, but especially after Cristiano left, and I will tell you even more, after the 4 games. So that means Udinese 2-2, Empoli lost, and then you are not winning versus Napoli and Milan. What were your real expectation of Allegri? What could he have done with that Juventus before the winter market?
Okay, so what Allegri did, because he had an important schedule, I think that Allegri should be also valued for what he did with the first stages of the Champions League. It was really sure that we could only implement a reactive system with the departure of Ronaldo, because so many of our players were brought back into a type of football that wasn't being cultivated at Juventus. Sarri and Pirlo had really other ideas in comparison to Allegri, and what I was hoping is that we could find a similar Chiesa, and also with a coach that has really more experience than Pirlo, which was confronted at the first year, could bring the players to a next level. That was what Allegri tried to tell us. So I was really brought in the hype of McKennie scoring 10 goals, then Rabiot also saying that he would make 10 goals, and also with the way that talent in Juventus was treated, with the Kulusevski, the Chiesa. And what I was seeing in the first matches is that he wanted to bring a three at the back system with De Ligt playing the Barzagli role. And this wasn't really a case because De Ligt is a different player from Barzagli, and also young players were really postponed for their role instead of the players that at Juventus are 33, 34. So the same role, but with different interpretation. I was really forward seeing De Ligt improving in a Bonucci role, which is right now the normal state of Juventus. The De Ligt is really proving in this manner, and in the first months it wasn't like that. De Ligt was playing a secondary role. Now he really had a glow up into Juventus system. And this was the first problem, bringing important players with the secondary role in Juventus. Also, Chiesa was playing like a fullback role in sometimes, and he really is an offensive force. In the 6th January, we saw that Chiesa, at the start of the championship, scored against Napoli. We couldn't do this with Napoli also at the first match of Napoli-Juventus. We saw that Juve was really in difficult places with the South American players bringing back.
Do you think, if I listen well, that also Allegri made some mistakes in the beginning of the season, maybe overrating the team that we had, or maybe overrating the his way of managing Serie A?
I think that also Allegri said this. He couldn't get in touch with football in 2 years, so the comeback was a bit stiff. I think that the first thing that Allegri brought back is evaluating Szczesny, which is a big part of Juventus' near success in this season, because Szczesny was not suited with the Pirlo football and the Sarri football, because we know that the goalkeeper role is understood to be really diverse, and Allegri was probably the only coach that could make a revive on Szczesny. So I think that he has in the negatives of the first part of the season, we have to also contribute with the positive with
You
Szczesny.
know, Antonio, this is a really important take. Something that I didn't hear anywhere. Because for me, one of the praises of Allegri was to give him confidence. When everyone was saying Chesney out, let's play Pinsoglio. I praised the way that he gave him trust in terms of people management. But you are telling me now that also the role of a goalkeeper can be influenced about the way of playing of a trainer. That's something super interesting that you explained really well. So a goalkeeper, let's say a good goalkeeper, not the best in the world, not the worst in the world, but a good goalkeeper can be influenced if we are playing from the back or if we are playing in a total different way in terms of what we are asking from him. That's a really important take. I like that.
Yes, Szczesny in distribution with the ball is a goalkeeper that cannot perform like lateral passes with ease. So he is a player that really likes to stay on the line of the goal and be clutch with the saves that he makes with ease. He's not an explosive goalkeeper that can make the save in any situation. So he was a really good follow up for Buffon because he was really in the style and also was following. But also the brought back of Gigi, I think that it could lessen his confidence. And with this year in Juventus, I think that he's the best player right now to start from. And if Juventus wants to follow this type of football, you cannot get better than that with Szczesny.
So you would not go. You will not go. It will not happen. Huh? But you would
Yes,
not
yeah.
go, for example, for a Donnarumma.
I think that Donnarumma is in a really difficult spot, as we saw in PSG. Also, alternating with a great goalkeeper of international uh, ways of conceiving goalkeeper, which is Keylor Navas, with
Yeah.
a really different style. So I think that Donnarumma with Szczesny, I don't think it can be done with the economical situation also of having two goalkeepers with 7 million
Uh,
on the economical side, and you cannot do this. So I think that it's impossible and wouldn't be so beneficial for Juventus to have a goalkeeper like Gigio. Maybe if Gigio wants in 2 3 years, he could be really welcome. I still rate Gigio as a goalkeeper, but he is also a kind of a goalkeeper that is on the old style
mm.
more
I,
than
I want to go immediately from the goalkeeper to the strikers.
yes.
Before Vlahovic, we play with a Morata, that is actually the number 9, not only on the shirt but also on the field. And Allegri said multiple times we criticized Morata for a role that was not him. But, and that's correct. I'm not a
Yes.
big fan of Morata. I'm not the biggest fan of Morata, but I criticized him more last season when he was scoring goals and doing assists. And this year I was more defending him. Okay. On the other side, it was Allegri that was putting him in there in that position because he's saying we criticize him for a role that was not his. But on the other side, for before Vlahovic, he was always playing there. Tactical discussion, Antonio.
Yes.
What without Vlahovic, without any other player, what could Allegri done to avoid Morata being there?
I think that he could use Moise better. I think that Moise again, as he said multiple times, it's
It
really
changed every time. When
unpredictable.
he goes to Everton, it's Moiskin. When he comes back, it's Moiskin. I don't know. No, I believe he's also not aware of his real name. But let's go.
Probably the Vercelli guy, if we want to call him like that, was used really efficiently in PSG with a creative player
Yes.
like Neymar that could also have been used like Chiesa with a strike force. He was playing a right winger in a really good role, and I think that Alvaro Morata could have been improved in this system. But Allegri really likes to play his crossing game with the Quadrado, so I think that we couldn't use a nine properly because there was really um, a total view of football in Juventus that was really that was really a bond with the past that could not be broken. And Juventus also was full of players that I think Allegri is not really keen to use. I don't think Allegri uses wingers in the modern role effectively. Also,
Mm,
we saw with Chiesa that really had a bad time. I don't know what's about Juventus with all the injuries, because there were really so much injuries this season. It's really frustrating to analyze properly
mm,
this season. So I would say that with Allegri, that really played a key role in interpreting the singular skills of players by playing them in an inverted role. I really was deluded with the fact that Morata would have been playing a role of an half wing. I also analyzed the tactics of Allegri from his thesis in Coverciano. He really likes to play players that are physical and make a battle on all the field. And Morata was, I don't think that Morata gets any better than that.
mm.
You really have to change style of football to make Morata really a great player, because he was playing side to side with Ronaldo, but really doing Ronaldo favor, not playing Morata as we love to.
Mm. We are 11th in goal scoring this season. This is, I always say Allegri is not a defensive coach. He's not an offensive coach, but it's a coach that is looking for equilibrio, for balance in the team.
Balance.
But this team, if you are analyzing, we are 11th in scoring goals, and this is not okay. If you are looking for balance, that means that you can't be 11th in Serie A with a team like Juventus. Juventus buy Vlahović and Zakaria. I want to come back on Zakaria in a second. Uh, we are still 11th, even if the rating, the average goals of Vlahović with Juventus is not that bad. Like some people, they want to try to speak the narrative. It's not that bad. It's actually quite okay if you are looking purely at numbers, without free kicks, without penalty kicks. It's doing quite well. Is Allegri using Vlahović better now in his real position? And how could we make that not only Vlahović is scoring, but also not being anymore 11th in scoring goals in Serie A?
Okay, Vlahovic is really dodgy to analyze, since he was really playing in a total football way with Italiano in Fiorentina, and also he's not scoring penalties because he
Uh,
cannot kick them, since Dybala is the penalty taker. Also, Morata had a shot recently against Sampdoria. So we see that the contribution with the striker is really something that you cannot value. And from what I saw, Juventus really tried to play a defensive style by exploiting the runs of Dujan, as we see with the Villarreal goal in the first match of the first leg in Champions League. And Danilo with a 50 meters ball with Vlahovic, he scores a magic goal that really proves what Vlahovic is. And I think that in overall, you cannot value a player that has only played 3 months in Juventus.
mm,
For sure, I have concern, and this concern are with the offensive system. From the rumors, we are going to change like 3 or 4 players in the attack of Juve. Also, Morata is not sure to stay.
uh,
So what I advise and tell to Juventus is, please let us know what are the strategies to make Allegri play a good football, because I know that Allegri can play a really adaptive football by not really getting into over coaching and those tactics. You also spoke about Juventus Milan of the season. I think that was really in the first 45 minutes a good match of Juventus, and what I think that is Allegri ball, which is a style of football that really plays with not with the narrow style. We like to have a long defensive line with that can open to passes, but you really need intelligent players to play this type of football. And I am not saying that Juventus players are not intelligent right now, but you need players that are suited to not getting too much abroad with the runs. And we had players back in the days like Cancelo that were suited to a more modern style of football. We see that so many Juventus supporters also remember Cancelo,
Uh,
but and that's not a sweet tooth in this season. But what I can say about this is that if we chose to make Danilo important in this style of football, we need to really have offensive forces that create by themselves. Because Danilo, with all the things that really brought this season, because the delict role Danilo is doing right now and is doing pretty good, but Danilo cannot play as we saw with the Salernitana in a mezzala role, because
I
we
agree.
need balance. We need balance in defense, but Danilo is not a fullback that provides too much offensive roles. So
I give you three things that for me are priority to change next season. Okay, three things from you can speak about 100 things, but three things that for me are annoying. The first thing is that Juventus is giving too much ball possession to the opposition. That you are Chelsea, Barcelona, Manchester City, or that you are Salernitana, Venezia, or Benevento, it's the same thing. We are giving a lot of ball possession to the opposition. That's one.
true.
I saw already some improvement, but not enough. That's one. The second thing is that we are always going to the right side. I say a lot of time on the channel, ball to Quadrado and inshallah, and we will see what will happen. But even without Quadrado, it happens the same thing. If you're looking at the heat maps and so on, you really see that Juventus is going, in final thirds instead of going to the left, center, and right side. What we did versus Inter, because we were attacking on the three sides, we tend to go always to the right side. So ball possession to the opposition, going to the right side, and third thing is pass accuracy. That it's a disaster for me. Basic passes that are a disaster because we are traveling around the 82%, which is not enough because you have an average of 82. That means that some players are traveling around the 65%. Some players like Szczesny, Danilo are traveling a bit above because from the defense, it's a bit more easy to do these passes. Of course, we are going to long passes a lot of time because you have players of the caliber of Locatelli and Bonucci that loves to go with these long balls. But even when they are not there, the precision of passes are going down. Only with Arthur, we see some more pass accuracy, not because he's taking a lot of risk, but he's going a bit more simpler. So with Zakaria in the middle, with Locatelli, how can we solve these three problems? And then I will also already anticipate your question. Zakaria, good player or phenomenal of the next coming years? Will it be a Sissoko 6 months stop and then he disappear? Or will it be a Patrick Vieira that will be a legend of football? So a lot of
Okay,
questions. Vai, Antonio.
so I leave my love for Zakaria after. So we concentrate on the 3 points that were very clear. I think that to respond the first point and more often the others, we have to talk about the midfield, which is the big concern of the Juventus fan. Right now, the midfield really leaves us thinking on what is a good player for Juventus in the midfield. And we have to start from seeing that Juventus really tends to concentrate passes on the defense. So
Mm.
the average ball possession is handled by De Ligt, by Bonucci, by the fullbacks.
True.
On the 50, 60, 70 passes a game, they perform more than midfield. So we have to see that Juventus really needs key players to perform long passes. Because most of the passes that the defense makes is not horizontal but also going vertical. So Juventus really makes the Allegri Juventus, of course, attention on the long passes. So we need good players to perform long passes, and these players should be the fullbacks. Also, if we want to get good players, I think Gatti is a great player and needs a shot with the next season because really has the athleticism. He really likes to perform long passes. I saw him in Frosinone, which is really performing well defensively. He's a
Can I
really
just ask you a small question about Gatti? Because
yes,
I know the perspective of Gatti, but it's true that he's also another right foot player.
yes.
When we are playing with Bonucci, De Ligt, you always have to adapt to go on the left side. Would that not be a same problem with Gatti that is also right footed, or can he play on the left? I don't know. I'm just asking.
I think that Gatti can perform the Danilo role really good. I think that that's the best one for him right now because he's really aggressive. He really likes to push forward. I think that Gatti could also perform the left side of the back three, so like a Chiellini role, because he also really has the aggressiveness. And also for the first times, I think that Allegri really has the intelligence to think that those players can play really adequate to more roles. So you have to test them. So if
Mm.
you don't test those players, Gatti is 24 years old, so he's really suited to play right now in Juventus and not really get wasted on loans, because I don't think that any Serie A side can benefit Gatti. I don't think that maybe a Sassuolo side, which is really modern, a Fiorentina side, can improve Gatti. So we have to build Gatti in Juventus.
Mm.
I think that that's really our first buy for Juventus, and he's going to, I think, improve if he gets the chance to play, and if he really is suited to the pressure that the defenders in Juventus have, because maybe other players we saw that they underperformed, maybe they don't really feel the pressure. So I think that the defensive side needs a restyle in some ways. I think De Sciglio is the guy that gets a renewal, since he is really proving offensively. The goal against Roma, he really knows the balance between playing forward and play at the back, and also being a player with experience, but just being 29 years old as a club, as a Juventus club. So more than the European style. What I think that the ball possession can be improved is by making Locatelli playing a more offensive role, because he was first of all played as a Pirlo role, because he was really treated like a player that can perform long passes.
Mm.
He can also make what we call sometimes the hockey passes, the laser passes, those passes that really in the advanced football views, they are really rated by top teams. So I think Locatelli is really a player that is a Juventus player. Sometimes people criticize Locatelli. This year was a year that was really difficult for Locatelli. He still rates top with the goals and assists in our midfield, also playing defensively. So I remember the first months Locatelli was instrumental. The goal
Mm.
against Torino, he can only do that goal. If you see Juventus in that moment, you can see also the goal against Sampdoria. So Locatelli really knows how to do everything with the ball.
Yeah, but I
And
agree. Someone that sacrificed himself a lot for the team because he played as a regista, as a mezzala on the left side of the field. He played on the right side of the field when Zakaria and McKennie were not there. I think that he sacrificed himself. It's the player that sacrificed himself the most for the team this season, without looking at personally Locatelli, but how can I help Juventus? And I believe that Allegri saw him as a mezzala, but didn't have the opportunity really to play him there. Question really: if
Yes.
I know that you love Zakaria, if I know that now you love Locatelli, Locatelli has a mezzala on the left, Zakaria mezzala on the right, or I'm wrong? For the future Juventus.
Well, it's really dodgy to analyze that, since we have to speak about Zakaria. I cannot hold it anymore.
Well,
The guys that follow me on Life Bianconera know the love for the guy, because I tend to have um, a format that is called Siamo tutti teorici. We are all theoricists, which is really inspired by an Allegri speech with Sky. So we are becoming all theoretical, and I predicted with a month in advance that Juve could go on Zakaria for the number 4 role. Zakaria is a player that really intrigues me, because he was someone that really was lessened in that role by Juventus. Morata was playing sometimes the 4 role. Also Rabiot, we saw that sometimes. Also, he had an interview right now where he said he's a number 6. So we are really really into the topic of what Juventus finds in a player. He was used as a number 7, as you say, with the mezzala, right mezzala, and he really tends to have a one clear chance every game, which is phenomenal. Zakaria in Borussia Mönchengladbach used to play as a number 8, sometimes number 6, because football in Germany is conceived with the number 4 being the center backs more often than that. So number 6 and number 8 in Germany tend to be offensive and defensive role. So Zakaria is really adapted. But I think that in Italian football, Zakaria could really improve as a number 4. I don't think that he's really the regista that Allegri really likes to play, with an inverted triangle, which is one of the... I don't want to get too theoretical, but he really likes to say that the player at the center of the triangle of the midfield is a player that really likes to use the ball to make long passes, or to shorten the possession, to attract players with the pressing, which is an Arthur right now. And Arthur did really improve our staying of the ball with Juventus, but wasn't really suited, because you also have to give offensive volume in Juventus, and not really many players were making runs in behind that Arthur could spot. So I don't think that it's totally Arthur's fault. But if you want to improve the possession style, you really have to bring an old style regista. So I don't think that Locatelli can become that player. Or maybe you could use him, but you really need to have players that are really diverse, that really add. I don't think that Zakaria really had that offensive volume we saw, because also I think that players suffer, that's my opinion, muscular injuries, because they are used in a way where they are not comfortable. I think that McKennie was the only one that was so unlucky for that, because in Villarreal, Stupinian made a horrific tackle on him. But McKennie has the stature, the physical to do all the roles, for example. By not shorting the question anymore, I think that Locatelli could be played as a left center mid, but I don't think that Allegri really rates the way Locatelli plays as a left center mid. Allegri likes to have a symmetry of runs more than a symmetry of players to play some roles. He likes to have players with athleticism that can defend and attack with ease. And Locatelli really uses his technique to come forward in the field, but it's wasted. Locatelli needs to play in a spot like he used to play with Sassuolo, with Italy, where he has a Jorginho or has a Maxime Lopez register role, and he can be intelligent in making runs, in
Okay.
giving runs to the players. So I don't think that this really is the system, if you ask me.
I want to end the live with two questions, Antonio. First one is give me three dream players that Juventus could sign next year. Of course, being a bit realistic. If you tell me Mbappe, it's hard. But three
Yeah.
realistic signing that should be important for Juve. Three names, and then last question: who will win Serie A prediction?
Okay, so I start with the first one. I think that Juventus should go for, since I have my doubts, but this is a player that we have to choose. Also, as we chose Vlahović, because it was an occasion, and it's Anthony. Anthony is a player that is really skilled, and he really proves to be efficient when going for the goal. He really has a powerful shot. He really knows how to diminish the defensive actions of teams like Villarreal, I think. So you need those players that can create occasion by themselves. So Anthony, dream signing.
The people on the channel, they will be happy, because every single day, Anthony, Anthony,
Anthony,
Anthony.
of course.
Okay, okay. You will make people happy. Another name.
Okay, so we said about the right wing. I could also say Di Maria, but I think that really goes in the batch of Anthony. What I would see as a midfield for Juventus, not spending really much, was a name that was made is Orkun Kokcu,
I heard.
which is
Yeah.
a Turkish international. He has a number 10 on the on his shoulders, and he's a player that really we need because he can really think about. I think he's a player with the Thiago Alcantara style. If we rate him, he really is an occasion. He's really young, and we can also have a player like that in our starting roles. And he really also reminds me of the first Pjanic. So maybe Allegri finds some ways in playing a guy like that that is really athletic. Also, Pjanic was 180 centimeters. Sorry for the English fellow that won the 5'10", 5'11". But really, Kokchu, with the big guys that we have in the midfield, the Rabiot, the Zakaria, we can buy a player like that and wouldn't be a surprise by my side.
And then a third one.
The third one, I have to say, is my big dream, and it's a player that is a fellow mate of Dennis Zakaria, which is Rami Bensebaini. He's 25, 26 years old left back, which is really great in playing. He's also a penalty taker if we need one. And he's a really beautiful left back. He really knows how to play proper football, offensive and defensive. He's not really like a Windel from AZ. He's a player that really knows how to stay in position. He really knows the secrets of playing intelligence football. If we want to find that type of player that maybe some guys might overrate a bit for some seasons, he's not Theo Hernandez, I tell you. But if we want to buy a player that has good experience, that can implement in Juventus, that has international experience, since we saw also against Inter, I think back in the days he made a great game. He's the same player. So Rami Bensebaini is my shout for the left back.
Okay. Then the last question: who will win Serie A with a back-to-back Milan 74, Inter 72?
Yeah, also, if we have to concentrate on those two,
No,
I
you can
think,
go with Napoli, you can go with Juve,
yeah,
even
of course.
oh,
No, but I think that Inter still really has the chances to win, but 3 wins and a draw, and Milan has won the championship. I think that Milan in the last matches didn't never fell short. So I remember the game with the Champions League last year, Atalanta Milan. Milan really didn't seem to lose the match in any ways. So the history sometimes pays. And
mm.
I think that Milan might have a serious shout in winning the championship this year.
I said it, I believe, in the on the 12th of or the 11th of February. Back then, when Inter still had that game in hand and so on, I said Milan would be champion of Serie A, but it was more a feeling than someone else. They have the more difficult calendar than Inter, but pay attention because Inter still has to play versus Juve in Coppa Italia. Prediction on that game: who wins the Coppa Italia? Inter, Juve?
I have to say Juventus because if this season is going to be a season that we want to start from the anno zero, as we say, the year zero, I want Juventus to win because it's also a direct confrontation that we couldn't win for a dodgy situation in Juve Inter. So I want to have redemption with this season. I know that it's just one trophy, and for the Juventus standards, we cannot have one trophy in this situation. So I want to actually win, and if we don't win, I don't know what I'm gonna do, but I have to accept it, as I accepted great parts of this season that really made me suffer as a Juventus fan.
I think that's the perfect end of the life with a prediction and hoping that Juventus win that Coppa Italia. Antonio, it was a real pleasure for the people who are still there after 40 minutes because it was so interesting. I will put the link into the description to the Twitter page of Antonio Laudantes. If you can't wait, you just go and you type in Laudantes, you will find him because he has really interesting take not only on Juventus but also on player analysis from all of Europe. So do it. I really recommend you to do it. Grazie, Antonio. I leave you the closing words.
Okay, thank you for having me, and thank you for all the guys that will listen for with me for the first time. It's, I think, the first time I talk in English for for a Juventus purpose. So I have really enjoyed this moment, and I say tanti saluti to also the Italians that tried to understand me. Thank
Grazie
you,
a tutti. Thank you, and as always, forza
Juventus.